Tonight, we are so excited to have a very special guest, Tyler Macrae. He's an old friend of mine who found his calling as a woodworker. Well, let's get into this. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 11. On tonight's show, we branch out into a new limb of topics for our show. It would be much more fun if we could just cut right to it. We will slowly saw our way through tonight. This is just bad, funny, horrible puns. I mean, yeah. I tried to keep it going for a couple seconds. I know I'm looking at what I'm trying to say. Really
we'll just playing along, if you will.
Ooh, boom. So if you haven't guessed already, tonight we're talking to a woodworker. Tyler is somebody who I've known for a really long time. We used to work back at Car Audio back in the day, way back in the day. I was just looking at some video from a Car Audio competition that I ran years ago. I shared it with Tyler before we went on live here. Can you believe how much time has gone by, Tyler?
No, it doesn't feel like, 20 years ago?
20 years? About 20 years?
I'm guessing about 20 years.
Was it 20? I know the store that you guys worked for, and I know the store that I worked for at the time. And I think I had a car in that competition that I built. So,
well, I'll have to share the link with you.
We lost. There may have been favoritism for the
yeah.
The home.
I always picked the cutest girls. No, I never did.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't me.
No, we were very fair. They're very fair comps, actually. A lot of fun. And I always remember Tyler as the guy who would tear apart his entire dashboard and build a new dash and paint it white and just do like whatever he wanted to his car, building something all the time. So it's going to be really fun talking to you and finding out where you've gone from there and how you ended up doing this as kind of you're trying to make it a full career.
Trying to.
And with
slowly
COVID, that's But before we do that, I haven't talked to these guys all week. Aurora, I haven't talked to you in several weeks because of circumstances. We didn't record something last week, and then the week before, it was your boyfriend. I'm going to still call him your husband because, Camelano. It was Andrew's birthday. So how did everything go? How have you been? What's up?
I've been good. A little bit busy with the holiday weekend and Andrew's birthday. So everything went over well. We had some fun little small COVID-safe celebrations. And had some food that was made by his family, his mom and his dad. So that was really great. Actually, his mom made most of it, so that was nice.
I hope you didn't have the COVID guilts. The guilt. Oh, I see that, Tyler. The guilt of having a get together. I think that would be a big problem for me at this point. Is if I did start to have a get together, I'd be all worried that it's like, is this safe? Am I following the rules? Was there any of that for you, or were you guys just able to have a good time?
We were able to kind of have a good time. Like Andrew's parents have been working from home, and we wore a mask, and they actually have their first vaccinations in, and all of that. I was a little worried myself going over, and I expressed that, but they've been safe, and we've been extremely safe. So it was, I felt okay. I'm also very excited because not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, which is going to be when this releases, I will have had it many times. I'm getting my vaccination.
Oh, so, nice!
Yay!
Pow!
Yeah. Oh, you got yours?
There you go.
Just today.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, just a couple hours ago, actually. Yeah.
Cool. Which one did you get?
I got Moderna.
Cool. A good one.
You know what?
I'll compare which vaccine.
Anyone's good, right?
Anyone's good one. Exactly, Tyler. I was really going to hold off for the Canadian one at one point because it's not yet approved. And one of our customers is a doctor, and he suggested that they're giving out the trial of the Canadian vaccine. You get 2 shots, and then the third time you go, you get an actual checkup to see how your antibodies are building up, to make sure that everything's working properly. And I thought, well, that sounds actually pretty cool. Plus, it's a Canadian thing. Canadian. But you know what? You have to wait, and it's still in trial. And I ain't got time for that. Got bronchitis. Little Sweet Brown reference. But no, it's Shelly, her mother, and I all went the same day, so it was great.
Nice.
Well, I'm glad you're getting it. I know how safe you are. It's pretty amazing. we both have worked together in this, trying to be as safe as possible. So I know how stressful it can be, and I'm glad you were able to have a good time.
Yeah, it's super stressful, but I'm really excited to get my vaccine and the second one in September. So, and then things will hopefully everybody will get their vaccination. That should, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But
and not from the back of a comedy hall in Rhode Island. It was a previous episode, Tyler. Or a van, yeah.
It's always a white van, though, eh? Yeah.
It's always a white van.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that.
Red Cross, maybe, but well, I'm glad you're back, Aurora. I'm so glad to see you.
Glad to be back.
And it's gonna be a fun episode tonight. Mark, how have you been, man?
I've been excellent. I've been vaccinated for a little while now. My next shot is in August at some point, but it is exciting. Brian, you said you got yours at a local pharmacy, and as everyone knows, by the time this airs, the second doses will probably be flowing as well. But we've got the vaccine going all over the place, so it's excellent. It's been busy for me, but I've got I think it's 13 or 14 stores now that have the vaccine. So right now we don't have any. We're waiting for next shipment, but the government's been pretty good at getting them out there, and we find out sort of last minute, but it shows up, and the stores do a great job getting them into the patients, and the patients are excited to get them. So
it seemed to take forever to get going, but now it's just rolling.
Yeah, exactly. And even Chris has helped out at one of the clinics as well. So she came out one night and was the injector at one of the clinics. So that was good.
Really
good that we both got to be a part of it. And I'm the hired goon, so I got to be on door duty and make sure that the number of people in the building wasn't too many.
Good,
but that's about it. No, it's good. It's been a good time. I mean, we had a good long weekend and a couple of weekends. A couple of weeks since we've seen each other, and this is going to be a great show. I'm excited to get into what Tyler does.
Well, let's start doing that. Let's start talking to Tyler. One quick thing before we do, if you're watching this and you've watched our previous shows, you like what we're doing, click like. Maybe give the show a like. Maybe subscribe to our channel. Get some notifications every time we do a new show. Kind of pops right up for you, so you know right away. But either way, we'll do this every Monday night at 8:00, and we have a great time doing it. So Tyler, man. Again, it's been a really long time. It's like almost 20 years. We worked in a car audio store together, but I know you've done a lot of things since then. Oh, Nitro's making an appearance. There you go. All the cats are going to show today, I think.
They are. They're good. It's going to be a cat show.
Yeah, I think we're going to change our logo permanently to the Podcats logo that we did for the Dave episode. That was great. So what have you done since we worked in car audio? And let's talk about car audio for a minute. Like, how did that spawn? How did that help your creativity back then? You've always been a creative person.
Well, there was a lot of custom builds going on at that time, and you'd see things on the internet, and you'd see pictures in magazines, and you think, hey, why not? Why can't I do that? And you try it, and like you said, you'd part stuff, and you'd try it and build it, and then you'd change your mind and do it all over again and learn something new. So I just kept doing that and did it with some buddies of mine and their cars, and it just sort of spawned from there.
Well, I don't know. Do you remember that white interior design that I'm talking about?
The black and white, the Cavalier, the two-door Cavalier had a black dash with a whole bunch of white accents, and
it's like you showed up one day and you took spray paint to your entire interior. It was awesome.
Ripped out the headliner, spray painted that, and. Oh, yeah.
Well, hey, we had seen worse. I don't know. Were you there when we had the Camaro with the concrete in the doors?
No, I didn't see the concrete in the doors, but I do remember the one that had a giant mound of solder for a ground in the trunk.
Oh.
It was just like a mountain, and everything just kind of led to that.
Well, car audio was so fun. I mean, it could have been so dangerous, and we saw a lot of cars destroyed because of the car audio systems people put in there. But I think it really was a platform for you, at least at the beginning stages, to get into woodworking. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit. Very minimal tools at the time, being young and only having X amount of income. But it definitely helped grow and lead me to that eventually. I definitely look back at those days and think of all the crazy things that I did and the mix that I made. But you learn from them. That's how you grow.
Exactly. That gives you the experience. Now you're a wise man and you can just build everything. Well, I mean,
I like to think I can.
You've come a long way, man. You've got a family, you've got a wife, you've got what, 2 kids now?
2 boys, yeah.
2 boys?
2 boys, 6 and 3.
Good for you.
And going through a home reno and living in a basement apartment back at my mom's right now for the time being. And
I saw that. Okay. Now, home reno is one thing, but explain what you're doing to your place.
We're doing an addition. We're adding 40 feet across by 16 deep and a new crawl space, like a whole second house practically to what we had. I think about 750 square feet. And I'm getting to do most of the work with the guy that we hired. So now I'm learning something completely different than just, doing the little bit of woodworking that I had been doing. Now I'm learning about doing whole homes, which is just a completely different ball game. But it's definitely something that I've thought of doing at some point in my life. It just happens to be right now.
And I guess now is the right time to be working on projects.
Yes.
Except for the price of wood, I'm sure isn't fun for you. Oh man,
the price of wood is insane right now.
I couldn't even
$10 for a 2x4 when it used to be $3. Like it's insane.
I bought 5 2x4s to do a small project. I had to box in some stairs, and it was I think I paid $60 once after tax and everything.
Yeah, your jaw probably dropped when you saw the prices.
I actually didn't think about it until I was driving home, and I looked at my wife and I said, I think what was the price of those 2x4s? Yeah. And she looks and she's like, oh, they were $10.49 each. And I'm, what? Like I needed them, so there's I can't take them back. And I still got a piece of one in the garage. I got about 3 feet left. I might see if I can sell it for $8 or $9.
You might be able to.
Put it on eBay.
Yeah.
I mean, the ongoing joke is it's like you should just piece out your house rather than piecing out cars.
Yes, exactly. These days, especially, for sure. Yeah. All right. So what was your transition, Tyler? How did it go for you? Like from the car audio days until now, give us a brief timeline. What happened?
Well, from car audio, I think I worked for Home Depot for a little bit actually, which kind of, again, just increased the knowledge of tools and whatnot, and worked in the tool rental. But from there, I actually went and worked for McDonald's and ended up running a McDonald's for probably 5 years.
I miss you working at McDonald's, by the way. It was so cool driving to the McDonald's
order, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if I didn't get it right, I was like, is Tyler working? I have to have a word with Tyler.
Right. I'd look after you. So I worked at McDonald's for, it came a total of 10 years, but, I ran one for 5 and then I left from there and went out west for probably about 6 to 8 months shortly after meeting my wife. At the time, we'd been dating maybe 10 months, 12 months. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to go out west for, 4 months, 5 months and see about a job out there with some friends. And that didn't pan out. So I ended up coming back. Got a job for a windows and doors company just in Maple there. And I was there for about 10 years, looking after the East Coast and the West Coast and different projects and doing automatic doors and that sort of thing, but it was all from the desk. Like I wasn't ever in the field. I wasn't ever doing anything. It was just sitting behind the computer and slowly going bored out of my mind. I'd look at stuff online and think, well, I could build that. Or you'd see somebody post something and be like, well, that doesn't look so hard to build. And then COVID hit and, well, that changed everything. I walked away from that job because I wouldn't be able to work from home. For the safety of my own family, I decided, okay, well, that's not going to work. So then lay me off and I'll collect CERB at the time. And then a couple months went by and, I started to tinker around because I had so much time on my hands finally. Mm-hmm. It's the one thing that we all wanted in life was more time. And then all of a sudden you've got all this time and it's like,
in the worst way possible.
What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And then Jen, my wife's aunt, was looking for a bench for her mudroom, and she posted something on Facebook, and I sent her a message and said, I can make that for you. I had never made anything that big in my life. And I looked at the picture and I was like, I can do that. I'll figure it out. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. And that one turned out good. And then that led to another one and to, something else from a friend. And it's kind of snowballed from there. And then Christmas hit and orders went crazy because everybody's looking for something local and they want to support local and buy local. I sold over 100 of those little slingshot hockey games that you'd see online. And I was like, again, that was one of those, I can make that. That's simple enough. I'll figure this out. And that snowballed to 100 of those. And actually my wife ended up helping me build those out in my little garden shed for a shop. That's where I've been building everything. All bundled up in our toques and our winter gear and just going from there. So that's kind of where it's led me to be.
Nice. That's a good progress. So, I mean, you did it at your own pace. You did it for, for yourself. And then all of a sudden you had all the time in the world to dedicate. and I think you made good use of that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be, I think. A
lot of people. It'd be great if you could do it that way. If you could just be like, here's a bunch of time, go and, and figure out your craft. Rather than, work 10 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, come home, do your thing, and all of a sudden you have like 30 minutes to follow your passion.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah, that's often the problem where, we've got something we follow as a passion and we don't have time to follow it. And, I was following my passion for a little while, but then it just got to be a point where my job, my job that pays the bills, took over that little bit of time I had. So now when I do photography, I shoot for me. So for you to be able to chase that passion for woodworking and to create doing that gives me a little bit of a pang of jealousy because that's they say if you work at a job that you love, you never work a day in your life.
That
True.
was my goal in life, is to do things that I enjoyed, for sure.
Yeah.
And you seem to do very well at it.
He does.
Very well.
Well,
I don't really know.
Well, I mean, you keep finding jobs that you enjoy.
I'm very lucky. I'm extremely lucky. I've been blessed, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very well, though. I mean, that's actually an interesting path to go down. What do we call very well? Is it financial wealth? Is it happiness? Is it, obviously we'd want to have both. And the happiness side of things, I'm rocking it. I'm having a great time, but I haven't won the lottery yet. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I think at the end of the day, as long as you can pay your bills and live comfortably, like everybody seems to be caught up with, you got to have the next good thing, the next big thing. You got to have a bigger TV. You got to have the newest phone. You got to have the newest car. You got to have, this. And it really, at the end of the day, the one thing I've learned in the past 10 years, especially with Jen, is you don't need everything. You just need what you need. You just, I'm still rocking my TV that I bought, I don't know, probably 15 years ago. It works.
Mm-hmm.
Would I like a new one? Sure. But I don't need one.
Yeah, TVs. Oh, man. Remember? Oh, TV, selling TVs. It's back to Nosh again.
They used to be huge. I hear you there, though. We replaced our TV this year, and only because we moved, and our TV got damaged in the move. And apparently the guy that packed it had no clue what he was doing, and it got damaged in the move. And the guy that packed it is the one that's sitting in this room.
Oh, no.
I thought, no, I'll pack it myself. I don't want the movers packing that.
There you go, blaming your dog again.
Yeah, it was me. It was me. I broke the TV, so I had to replace it. But then I'm an old school guy. I like to have a receiver as well with the surround sound. So I don't know if those new sound bars. So my receiver it kept dying a channel at a time. So I thought, heck with it. I bought a new Denon receiver as well to go with it at the same time.
Denon.
So
Nice.
Yeah, it was turning itself on and off. So
okay.
Oh
yeah,
ours was on yesterday. It was when I came downstairs. The TV was on. I'm like, I turned you off.
Right. Yeah.
What's really weird now is, when I was selling TVs, I would have to move a 400-pound, 40-inch tube TV from a warehouse and deliver it to some guy. Now I have a 55-inch TV that I got in my other room here that I could move myself. I could bring that downstairs if I wanted.
Yeah, it weighs like 4.5 pounds. It's
right? It's ridiculous. Anyway.
You're like, I want to go watch it outside, so I'll just carry it there.
Yeah. Why not? Well, technology changes, but how does that technology change kind of roll into your woodworking life? I mean, that's the beauty of woodworking is all of a sudden you're going from this world of high tech to people could use 1,000-year-old tools and build things.
They could, and some of my tools feel like they're 1,000 years old, but I think you don't necessarily need the newest ones, but some of the newer ones make your life a little easier. Obviously with 20-volt power tools, it definitely, your battery lasts longer. It makes stuff cut a lot easier or drill a lot easier. Versus, I just got rid of one of my first drills I bought, and I think it was a 12 volt, and I plugged it in, I charged it up, I tried it, and I thought, this is terrible. I could give it to my 6-year-old as a tool, but it would do the trick if I needed to. But that's where technology has definitely come in handy, is with the advancement of different batteries and different powers and whatnot. And then now it's interchangeable. Like you buy a tool without a battery because the battery for that tool works with their entire line of tools, which can also get in trouble of now you're stuck to one brand. But
but as long as it's DeWalt, you're fine, right?
Right? All black and yellow.
Mine are all red, but that's okay.
Yeah. I've got a couple of those too.
So one of the things that I absolutely love about woodworking and the things that I've seen you do is the way you use texture, the way you use contrasting colors of wood and things like that. You do like patterns. Do you find that you have to bring out an artistic side? Do you ever sit there building something and think, how can I make this look even better, even cooler, even prettier? And do you find yourself using all these like composition tools or?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of it too is, you're looking, as weird as it may sound, you're looking at the wood and you're thinking, how is this going to work together? Like, where are definitely certain knots laying out, or, the shape of the wood. I did a coffee table over the winter for somebody, and like you said, it was the colors. Like it was like a dark walnut she wanted this turquoise color, but it was it kind of looked like it had a darker color underneath it. So I had never done anything like that. So I had to fool around with some different cutoff pieces, and ended up finding out if I put one color stain underneath it and then ended up putting the turquoise color over top of it, it actually gave the look that she was looking for. She sent me a picture and said, this is what I want. And I'm like, again, I've learned, just say yes and then figure out how to do it afterwards. So I ended up figuring out how to do that, and it turned out absolutely amazing. And she had been looking for this coffee table for like 3 years. She's like, I've been looking just for this style. And then she ended up finding out that I could, that I said I'd make it, and it turned out perfect for her. And she was beyond thrilled with it. So
that's awesome.
That's stressing me out. That is stressing me out. Just say yes. It's so not the way I go.
Just say yes and then figure it out afterwards.
So I have somebody that you might remember from back in the day. Used to race Hondas, still does race Hondas. First name Dave.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if I need to say names. Anyway, we're in talks to do something potentially with Honda and something, and I'm just like freaking out. My first instinct is I can't do that. There's no way. There's no way I can do that. Ah, man,
yes,
that was pressure.
Yeah, you can.
Just say yes, and you figure it afterwards. Jen has taught me that. Her and I were on this page of just say yes to it, and you'll figure it out. One way or another, you're going to figure it out.
Well, it'll be fun trying. As long as you're patient.
I'm sure he would be.
It'll be light painting, so that might be fun. Aurora, you want to say something there?
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge mental block for a lot of creative people, where they refuse to do something because they don't think that they can do it, or they're not confident enough to do that. And I have had my fair share of experiences of not taking something or not doing something. But then when there's a a limit of how many jobs you can take, eventually at one point you're going to have to say, you know what? I've got the technical training to apply to something like this, although I've never done it before. I think a lot of clients are even okay with you saying, hey, you know, here are examples of things that I've done that are similar to this. Although I've never done a project like you've recommended before, these are the skills. And usually they're able to correlate the two. Like if they like your style, if they like what you do, then just say yes, just do it. And usually it works out really well, sometimes even for the better. And they're pleasantly surprised and happy with the results. So that's really awesome. I think that's a great piece of advice to a lot of creative people out there.
Easy advice to give, and then the trick is turning that into something you actually apply. Because I even noticed the day after I was stressing about this is how I found myself stressing first and not saying I could do it after the fact. Do you know what I mean? Like after the fact, I was like, I probably could do this. It could be really cool. And why did I tell myself I couldn't do it? Like, why do people tell themselves that? But
it's a whole comfort zone.
Failure. Yeah, comfort zone, fear of failure.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you don't have that problem, Tyler, because it's done well for you, right? You've got a lot of different jobs. Does taking jobs stress you out at all?
It has in the past. Christmas it was stressful. It was I'd only really started in September as an official business, and I started advertising out there and taking jobs, and Christmas was busy. I had never expected to be that busy, and I only work out of a little 10x8 garden shed at the moment because that's all I have to work out of. So it was sort of that stressful nature of where am I going to do this all? And my in-laws actually live 5 minutes down the road from us, so they actually offered up their garage.
Oh, nice!
And bought a little heater. It didn't heat all that well, but it was well enough that I could stay in there, and I could leave projects in the basement. And I actually just completed a project of 12 folding harvest tables that this guy wants to, I guess, rent out for weddings and events, whatnot. And again, it was one of those, he contacted me and said, hey, can you make these? And he sent me a picture, and I looked at it, and again, it was, yeah, I can make that. And we started talking, and it started off with, well, I need you to make one, and I want to see how it works out. And if I like it, I'm going to order 10 more. Okay, sure, not a problem. And then that ended up being a total of 12. So I've got these 12 tables sitting out in my mother's garage right now, all folded down, waiting to arrange to get them to come pick these things up. But again, it was one of those, okay, I can do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it or where I'm going to do it, but I'm going to make it happen.
You got payment in advance though, right? So.
Yeah, it was, I always take a 50% deposit, which will at least it usually covers all my materials. So at the very worst, I'm out my labor, but I still have the piece that I can then turn around and sell. Yeah.
Good way to go. So while we're talking about it, where can people find the work you do? Like if people are listening right now and they want to kind of catch up and see, what is this Tyler guy talking about? What is he building? Where can people go and check that out while they're listening to us?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's 2X Wood Creations. So 2 by Wood Creations. Again, Facebook and Instagram. I also go under the hashtag of 2XWC. Everything's under there. So you can look either one. Where am I here?
Oh, there we go. 2X Wood Creations.
I had already found you. That's what I was looking at here. I was scrolling through all
there
projects.
You go.
Very cool. I read in the questionnaire that I sent you that your other option, another thing you would have liked to have tried in the creative world is photography.
It's definitely something that, it's interested me. My dad actually does a fair amount of it. I've got a decent camera. I just, again, at the time, I didn't have the time necessarily to focus on learning it and trying it and editing the photos and that sort of thing. But it's definitely still something in the back of my mind that I know I enjoy doing, and I'll definitely be out with the family or just out and about. And I think that would make a really good photo. But, again, I'm
thinking bigger for you, actually. I'm actually thinking bigger because Aurora does this really cool technique where she takes Polaroid transfers and puts them on wood.
Yep.
And I can just see so many applications in your world for wood transfers of your photo on your wood, if there was a way to do something like that.
So funny, one of the first projects that I kind of got paid for, this lady, and she was like, I want you to make these boxes. And I'm like, okay, not a problem. And she's like, but I want this logo of this company on the side of it. I'm like, okay, so in vinyl. And she's like, no, it can't be vinyl. It's got to be like in the wood. So I actually looked up, and you can, if you've got, I think it's an inkjet printer, you can put wax paper through it to print on. And then if you print it in reverse and then press it down on the wood and rub it in, the ink soaks into the wood.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
That is a really cool thing.
And then I guess you'd seal it and
then you stain over top of it, and
permanent.
It turned out it was a good look. It's not the look she was necessarily looking for, but I thought personally it looked really good. Like it gave it sort of an older, distressed kind of look, is what I felt it looked like. Yeah.
Roar, maybe you can explain what the Polaroid transfer is all about, because I think that older, distressed feel is something that would lend well to that.
Yeah. So the Polaroid transfers, I actually did a video through Henry's on how to do one. I typically do a transfer of a Polaroid onto watercolor paper, but you can do it onto other surfaces as well, wood, metal, whatever. And essentially what it is it's you take a Polaroid, and it has to be an original Polaroid. It can't be the new Fuji Instax, because it's a totally different process. And what you do is you take it up, you cut it apart, you put it in hot water, separate the actual photo emulsion, which is kind of like this jelly type of thing, from the casing. And then from there, you move it from hot water to cold water. And the gel, the resin of the photo actually hardens. And from there, you can spread it onto watercolor, wood, whatever it may be. And then you can seal it. So usually what I do is I use some sort of like spray-on kind of like sealer to a paper. I didn't do that actually in the video because I ended up running out of time. But from there, then you can actually, after doing all of that, you can lacquer over the wood. You can lacquer,
seal it up.
Exactly. The nice thing about this process is that if there are imperfections in the resin, like a cut, or the photo's too cold, it has like discoloration, or white splotches on it, or even there's just a fold in the resin of the photograph, it actually comes out really like very interesting looking, very antique-y kind of creative to it. So
pieces missing and all kinds of
so it can be really cool in the long run. The wood example I did in that video, the wood was really rough. I got what's it called, like a wood canvas from Dollarama. It was super cheap. And while I was filming the video, it actually shredded the resin. So I should have worked with probably some smoother wood, because it probably would have gone on a little bit better. But it still turned out pretty good. So
it's so neat. I mean, it's like you have this jelly impression of the photo that you remove from the Polaroid, and the jelly sits on top of the wood and just kind of gives you an image. It kind of taps onto it. It's like a sticker, like what you put on a shirt or something. It was an interesting process. I could just see, you with a Polaroid or something, taking this picture and then doing this transfer and applying it to this special job that you get. I don't know. I'm just squirreling.
I mean, you could probably even do it with leftover scraps of wood you have from other projects. I feel like that would be a fun kind of, side art thing you could do.
Right.
Too,
It's all about trying to find what to do with leftover scrapped pieces of wood.
Well, there you go.
I know personally, and I'm sure there's plenty of other woodworkers out there where you look at it and you think, I'm not going to throw that out. I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
And then it sits in the corner somewhere, and it's like the random, screw jar that you have laying around the house. Eventually you may use one screw out of that in 10 years, but that scrap of wood, it's going to sit there until I find a use for it.
Yeah, but when you find that one screw and it's the right one 10 years from
you
then,
feel so good.
I'm so happy I kept that screw.
Right?
Yeah.
So, family, Tyler, family.
Yeah.
You've talked about it a few times. We talk to people. I mean, a big reason why we do this show is to find out how mental health is going with what you do and how you're transferring your life into, positive energy instead of, being down on things. And it doesn't seem like you're down on anything. Like you've got this just say yes attitude and you can just do everything. But how does family help you out? I mean, do you rely from day one, even from back in the car audio days? Were your parents upset when you painted your car white or like your dash?
So best part, Brian, that was my mother's car.
Oh,
that wasn't even my car. She's always been. Both my parents have been very supportive of everything. They've supported me back during the car audio days of loud stereos in the driveway and driving them nuts and loud cars, even through to the woodworking. Now my mom actually bought a carport for me for the winter. So that's in our backyard right now, sort of 10 feet away from my little garden shed. And it gave me a place to put my table saw and my miter saw. So I actually had a place to properly work, even though it was bitter cold. At least I wasn't covered in snow.
Mm-hmm.
Families helped out with tools. They've helped out with projects. They helped out, looking after the kids. Jen's mom came down and spent 5 out of 6 weeks leading up to Christmas living in our house so that I could come home after picking the boys up from daycare, drop them off inside. She'd feed them dinner and I would just drop them off and go right outside back to the shed to keep working on projects. So, I mean, both families have just been unbelievably supportive of me trying to give this a go. I wouldn't be where I am today without them, 100%.
Well, I mean, that's awesome. And I've got a cat butt.
That's okay.
Third cat to make an appearance.
I know. That was Dixie. No, that's awesome. And I don't think I think that pretty much everybody we've talked to, when we started talking about family and experience, there's only been maybe one or two that really had to fight it their own way. It's nice when family gets behind somebody and gives them the encouragement. We get it all the time, Aurora and I, where we have a customer that comes in the store, parent bringing their kid in to buy their first camera, and they're beaming at the opportunity to help their kids buy a camera and get into it.
That's exactly it.
But sometimes we get the parents that are fighting that whole concept, and they're just like, no, I can't afford this. What are you thinking? You're never going to do this anyway. I mean, it's so important having that. With the car audio, the way my mom looked at it was just like, you got to find your way. You got to find something you enjoy doing. If you can make money at it, great. You're young enough that you can kind of fool around and try and figure out what you want to do. You don't have responsibilities. You don't have a family to support. You don't have major bills to pay. So why not at that point do it? At this point, it was, thankfully my wife is a hygienist and it makes, a good paycheck that, she can kind of offset me maybe not working full time per se. Or at least in the growing stages, right?
Right. Is it stressful at times? It's definitely stressful at times, but the universe seems to find a way to make things work for us. And we've always stood by each other to say, we will find a way to make this work. And I've told her if I have to, I'll find odd jobs to pull through. And that's the bottom line with it is you have to do what you have to do to make it work. If it means you're working, 2-3 other jobs to do this on the side until things pick up, then you do it. Like right now I'm working with my contractor that is doing our house, but I'm also doing other jobs with them. Like today, I just refinished a deck with them. And, we've built a couple decks last year. I kind of got on with them last year. We actually went to high school together. So when we were looking at doing the addition to the house, it was like, okay, well, I know you, I trust you. And then one thing led to another, and I started working with him. So, even though I'm not necessarily working on my own stuff, I'm still getting to learn woodworking and the tools of the trade and that sort of thing. So
nice.
It all works out somehow.
You're expanding your toolbox, so to speak.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, they're all skills that you can use, and you can apply some
Yeah.
of those skills that you're learning. You can apply them to new projects and think of things a different way. I apologize for looking over here. I was looking at my other screen. I was scrolling through all your projects, and I just couldn't look away. There, you've got some gorgeous pieces. So I encourage everybody to go take a look. And it looks like you do everything's completely custom. So I think I think I would definitely recommend your handicraft here.
I appreciate that.
some good looking stuff. I'm a little far away to order any myself. I live in Thunder Bay, so
that's a little
ways. Unless you'll deliver it. I'll deliver it. I'll pay.
I do have. Yeah, I've got a buddy that lives up there, so
yeah.
I was going to talk to Tyler about building something for the front. We'll still talk about that.
Okay. I got an idea for you. I came up with something. So.
Oh, good. I want to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, I see you had one of the last things you posted was some planter boxes that you did. Those look really nice.
Those turned out really, really nice.
Yeah, that's excellent. So where do you get your inspiration? Like, obviously somebody will say, okay, I want a table, and sometimes they'll have an idea or a shape. But looking through, like I saw some really interesting looking tables and a toy box. Looked like a toy box that Emily on it. Going through, where do you get your ideas for these, or are they all things that customers say, hey, this is what I want, or do they give you sometimes free reign to run at it?
Most of the time it's, the customer will come to you and say, hey, I'm looking for this, and they'll send me a picture. And what I've actually learned is I've got a Google app, and if I put that picture in Google, it actually shows me where they got it from. A lot of the time it seems to be from Wayfair. And then it's nice enough they give you all the measurements, and I sort of go off that. But then I also ask them, are you looking for the exact thing or just something similar? And they're like, something similar. Doesn't have to be, bang on exact. If you have some ideas, like they sort of give you free reign in that sense. Like I did a coffee table for my sister-in-law. And again, it was, a double folding lift top. And I just knew, okay, well, you're giving me free reign with it. And she said, yeah, well, this is sort of the style we're looking for. And so I added the tongue and groove on the inside and changed up the pattern on the outside and kind of figured out the feet on its own. So the feet were, something I just totally came up with. A lot of the time, most people are like, you just do your thing. You know what you're doing. I'm sure I'm going to love it. And I knock on wood, I haven't had any problems with it so far. So
nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Like I say, you've done some really nice work there. So
thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw some of your work as well. I looked it up on my phone here, and it's really, really great. I'm kind of considering. I gotta ask my boyfriend first, but we still have like a really tiny coffee table at home. We moved in together 2.5 years ago, roughly, and most of our stuff that we have, including this and this, is all like things that people gave us. We've only bought a few pieces of furniture ourselves for the house. And I'm still working with a tiny little IKEA $15 coffee table. And we've been using it, this 2.5 years. But it's too small, far too small. So I may reach out to you about a coffee table. Because it's really hard to find something that matches the color of our TV stand or whatever it may be. And I haven't been able to find anything yet.
But it's more than that too. It's having something that has a story behind it. It's having something that's made with like some attention, and not like you say, you have an IKEA table, but I mean, everything in my house right now is stuff that we bought and just screwed the things together and followed the step 1, step 2, step 3. And except for the things that Shelly's Uncle Andy made for us. And those are the pieces that we really love the most, the TV chest and a couple side tables that he made for us. So to have somebody build something, it's such a more personal experience. And it's something that you hand down from generation to generation as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, even Andrew has a piece like that. He has a dresser that he had all his childhood from when he was a baby. And the dresser was kind of cool in that it had another purpose to it It was a bookshelf when he got older, but it folded down and out. So when he was a baby, it was a baby change table.
Right.
So very cool design, and he's kept it all this time. It's in our guest room in our place here, and it's the pieces like that really grow with people or whatever it may be. Like you mentioned that toy chest, like when she's little it's probably a toy chest, but maybe when she gets older she can put clothes in it or memories or something like that. And I feel like that's really, really important when it comes to making these creative, meaningful pieces. So that's really cool. I wanted to go ahead.
I was just going to say the toy chest, that one that's there is the that one was sort of free range with I put the Imagine on the inside of it because I had a bunch of screw pocket holes that I was like, okay, I got to cover these up somehow. And then I was like, okay, well, I could put this piece of wood here, but then I'm like, well, there's nothing to it. So actually, I said, I worked on that one with somebody else, and I said, do you think she would mind if I put something on the inside of this lid? And she's like, I don't think she would. I think it would be a nice little touch, a little added personal touch to it. So I went with it, and she was floored by it. She just thought it was just one of the best things ever. So
it's the extra 10%,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I always say the extra 10% makes 100% of the difference.
Yeah.
A little bit of flair. Do you use reclaimed woods, or is it all new stuff?
I have. I haven't used a lot of it, but there's one. I did a picture frame for somebody, and she came to me with a bunch of barn board that she had picked up. And she's like, I want to use this somehow. And so I kind of figured it out and cut it down and framed up her portrait. And it made it pop. Like you notice the frame to it. You notice the frame that it's barn board, but at the same point, it takes your eyes to the picture that much more. So I'm hoping she does more. I'm hoping that she wants some more barn board frames, but it hasn't happened yet. But I know for myself, if I were to have some sort of painting, I would definitely use some barn board material. It's always fun to work with. Plus, you can say it's like 100 years old. I think the stuff she got was about 100 years old. So, to find another purpose for it is wonderful.
If only we had all the space in the world to just store stuff.
Oh, people do.
We.
Do you? Their garages, and that's why we have storage lockers now.
Oh, there you go. All right, so there is.
My wife does crafts, and she likes to reclaim things like pallets. So I'm the guy that gets to bust down the pallet, and I'm the one that cuts it all. She does all the sanding and everything, but I'm the one that makes sure that and half the time it's like, okay, we snip a nail off and leave the nail head in there and stuff because it adds character to her craft. But we moved last year, so in end of February we moved, and there is a box in our garage. We moved from Innisfil to Thunder Bay, and there's a box of pallet boards that moved with us. And she's started working again when we came back up, when we moved up here. So she hasn't had time to work on it, but I think I'm still working on her craft room. So once we get the craft room done, I'm sure she'll take it up again. She started painting something.
That's the nice thing about art, though. It's always something you can get back to, right? Photography, woodworking. I mean, unless physically you just become unable. But I play the drums, and I don't think I could play the drums today the way I played it when I was in my 20s. Because of physical changes and stuff like that,
but you can still play it.
I'm the same with guitar. I don't play nearly as bad as I did when I was in my 20s. Now, I'm actually a little. I'm still bad, but I'm a little less bad than I was then. So
we got to do a virtual band thing one day.
Yeah. Brian will find out how badly I really do sound.
Vice versa. All right, Ty. So thank you for all your answers and the conversation. We have a few questions for you before we say goodnight, though. At the end of these, we have 3 questions that we'd like to talk to people about. Oh, Aurora, did you have something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you something because it seems like, since over how many, 20 years you said, since you knew Brian, and you were, changing things up in your car and taking things apart, and now with the woodworking. When was it that you kind of discovered you wanted to make things, create things, build things?
Just in general.
in
It
general?
was probably back in grade 7 and grade 8. Like I remember taking shop class in grade 7 and grade 8. And I always enjoyed
like auto shop or shop
no,
like
actually
like
making like
Wood shop.
I remember making like a coin bank, which was part wood and part plexiglass, and keychains out of plexiglass, and it just stuff. It was just all sorts of stuff, little odds and ends out of wood. And I remember it was once a week, and I enjoyed that once a week, hands down. Why I never continued taking shop class into high school, no clue. Couldn't tell you why. We had a wood shop. It was apparently a great course. I just never took it. Don't know why. Sort of fell to the side, and then just did things here and there. And like I said, COVID came around, and I was like, okay, well, I got all the time in the world again, so let's give it a shot. See how it goes.
Make it so.
But it really does seem like even when you weren't doing it, you were doing something else. Like you were creating something else or making something else, like with the cars. Just a little bit of background. Andrew, my boyfriend, he's a mechanic. But on top of his mechanics where he works at CN, he works on trains.
Nice.
He, takes in these like old cars and fixes them up and changes little things. Like, he had a Corolla at one point where he spray painted all the accents red. So when you said the white thing, it just like, I remember that from, 6 or 7 years ago, he did the same thing. And he has a trailer it was a boat trailer, and that he completely changed it up, and it's now a flatbed trailer.
I wish I had those skills. Oh man, to be able to build with your hands and create something and fix things.
It's a real skill for sure.
I envy that. That's great.
It's awesome. You've been able to apply it in so many ways. So that's very cool. Yeah.
Mark, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I just think it's really cool that you're doing this. Like, it's funny you say you never took shop class. Like, I took shop all through high school, so it was a lot of different shops. Here in Heights, we had like when you took it, I think it was 6 credits, and you took welding and auto mechanics or wood shop and drafting, electrical as well. So I learned all that, but my dad was always handy, so I did that. But you talk about building that coin bank and stuff. My parents to this day have a framed mirror with a tray under it and a key rack that I built in high school. It's hanging in their front hall. It's still there. And every time I go in, I think, I built that,
Right.
So it's pretty cool. So I love that you're building stuff and that people, that people will have your pieces to cherish for a long time. Like I know my wife has a desk it was made by a family friend when she was a little girl, and it's upstairs in her craft room. And it's a beautiful piece, absolutely gorgeous. And I would never dream of even thinking of replacing that, because it's part of her memories, and that's what you're building for people, is their memories of Emily's toy box 20 years down the road. It's a blanket box when she goes to university, and then into her, maybe it becomes her children's toy box or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Those memories you're giving people. So
thank you,
and thank you for being on with us tonight. You've got a really great tale here. So
thank you for having me.
It was awesome talking with you, Ty. So let's get to these questions, my friend.
All right.
There's 2 questions, and then one that you know of, 2 that you may not, and 1 that you do. So I'm going to ask you the first one that you may not know. What's your jam? Is there a song that you listen to? Is there something that just gets you in the right mood? Is there a song that just no matter what, you have to listen to the whole song? You never skip that song. It's the one you love.
I'd probably say, I know it's going to sound maybe a little bit cheesy, but Hotel California. That was our wedding song, and whenever it comes on, we have to leave it on. It just stays on, and our kids know we're going to be that terrible couple that dances in front of our kids and whatnot. But when I'm out in the shop working, it's usually I listen to Sirius a lot, and it's just classic vinyl all the time. So it's classic rock. Nothing else. That will get me through all my woodworking, no problem whatsoever.
That's awesome. Funny story.
Yeah.
Hotel California is one of the 8-track cassettes that we listened to when I was a kid driving from Montreal to California, my dad's camper van. We had Hotel California, Elton John, maybe 1 or 2 others, but I will always remember that 8-track cassette with the Hotel California logo on it, black cassette. Oh, man, classic stuff. Cool.
And I got to say,
Okay.
Brian, I appreciate Rush a lot more now than I did 20 years ago.
Interesting. It's funny too, because back when you worked with me, I think Bill was there too, and he was always trying to get me to listen to Tool, and I would never listen to Tool because the name sounded just horrible. Like, Tool, what kind of stupid name is that? And now that's all I listen to. So it's weird how that happens, eh?
Right?
And Rush is pretty good, as long as we don't have to hear Getty sing all the time.
Yeah,
Rush is
they're
awesome.
okay. They're okay. No.
Okay, so that's the first question. What's your jam? Second question.
All right.
Tool of the trade. Now, it doesn't have to literally be a tool. It could be advice. It could be something that you've done, something that keeps you in the mood. But do you have a tool of the trade that makes your day-to-day better?
Definitely planning out my day. At
Sorry,
first,
you
I was
kinda-
actually planning out my day. So like the
Okay.
night before, I plan it out. I was terrible for it, and then my wife was like, "No, you need to." Like, I would be one of those people, a squirrel. Like, I'd go do this for a moment, and then it'd be like, "Okay, well, I'll go do this, and okay, I'll be back to this." And she's like, "No, you need to plan out your day." So I'll write it all out, what I have to get done or what I hope to get done, and just knock it off and check it off. And it makes you feel so much better because you can actually see what you've accomplished versus, half of this and half of that. And, oh yeah, I did get that done. And, oh, I forgot about that, but I got this done instead. So definitely plan your day out the night before.
You're so productive. You're so efficient.
Not all the time, but
On paper,
thankfully
you
my
are.
wife, on paper, and my wife, makes sure that I am. So
It's so great when we have our significant other complete us the way they do.
Yeah.
I love that.
right.
Oh, so good. I'm so
item
happy.
number 1, make list.
yeah, right.
Number 2, drink coffee. By the time you've made, you've had your coffee, you've done 2 things already.
Yeah, you feel very accomplished.
As long as my feet hit the floor properly. That's just
Yeah.
That's right. Get out of
Awesome. Okay, and then the last question is the one that we ask you in advance because it may take a little bit of thinking sometimes. I don't know if you remember the answer you gave us. I can tell you if you forgot.
Nope.
There you go.
I remember. Hey.
Excellent. So what is your challenge? We ask our viewers to issue a challenge to our listeners, something that you think might either guide them into the path better or just a challenge that you feel helped yourself out that you think might help other people too.
It definitely try to meditate. It's so calming. You don't have to meditate for hours on end. Honestly, if you can start with just 1 minute a day, just find a quiet moment to sit, focus on your breathing, count to 10 again, and just keep doing that. Every breath in would be 1, exhale is 2, 3, 4, and just keep doing that till 10 and then start over again. Honestly, just start with 1 minute a day. It clears your head and it just helps you focus more on what's going on and be more aware of what's going on.
And 1 minute a day is doable.
It's very doable. Like if you can do longer, great, but just start with 1 minute a day. Like if we can all find 1 minute.
Yeah, I love this advice. I don't do it every day, but I've talked about this on other episodes before where I've struggled with anxiety all my life, on and off. And sometimes because of stress or whatever's going on in my life, I'll have this like days where I'm just like in this constant like fight or flight kind of feeling. And I started doing meditation as a result of that whenever I get into that really, really stressful habit, and it so helps me. Like there's that 1 minute quick exercise that will like just get you out of a jam if you're in like a panic or just not feeling well, or even like you said, like right at the beginning of the day or right at the end of the day to just decompress. It really, really helps. So love this. This
Great
is
advice.
great advice.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it helps me. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Well, Tyler, man, I knew this was going to be a great chat. It was really great catching up with you. I'm happy you're doing well. I'm happy that the woodworking is going well for you and you've got happy clients. That makes all the difference in the world. Happy clients is happy life. I'm glad your wife is doing well and your kids. Good luck on your home reno. I hope that shores up nicely. At least you have the summer now to work on.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're almost done. We're in the final stages. We're into the whole we just need flooring, switches and outlets, some lights put up. So we're kind of in the final push. So hopefully we'll be back into things, within the next maybe 3-4 weeks. So, but then it's, we got to redo our lawn in our backyard. And
so then there's the other 1,200 things you got to do.
Yeah.
So you don't sleep very much, do you?
No. No. Between the little one waking me up at 5:45 and just having stuff to do, there's no rest.
Meditate
and coffee.
There you meditate. Oh, that's like the opposite ends of the spectrum there. Meditate. Okay. Meditate. Okay. That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Well, before we say goodbye to everybody, and again, thank you, Tyler. Mark, Aurora, thank you guys again for being here. Unfortunately, Ryan wasn't here this week. We didn't even talk about that yet, which is really horrible of us.
He was off watching some
Ryan.
hockey match game. I don't know how many.
I'm sure he's yelling at the TV by now. So.
Oh, is he he's a Habs fan? You know that, right?
Oh, then he's very happy right now.
Oh, I don't even want to know then.
Yeah. We should all text him.
Oh, he's gonna just rub this into everybody. Oh,
yeah.
Well. Anyway, speaking of mental health, one of the things that we do talk about quite a bit on the show at the end is the Henry's Foundation for Mental Health. Now, I will be honest and say that, Aurora, since you've left our store, there's been very little action in Newmarket for the Mental Health Foundation, unfortunately. Big bummer, but we will mention it here because it is still important. If you don't know, the Henry's Foundation basically is using our resources at Henry's Camera from coast to coast, 22 stores, to try and raise as much money as possible to then give that money to local and national agencies. Aurora, maybe you can explain who that money goes to a little bit better than I can.
Yeah. So we, all the donations we get go to our 2 national partners, and then it's localized as well. So we have like local partners too. So our 2 main national partners are Kids Help Phone and Jack.org. And then here in the Ontario area, our local partner is CAMH, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. But in Vancouver, there's VGUBC Hospital. And then there's one for Quebec and one for Nova Scotia. I don't know the exact names of each one offhand right now, but there's localized for each, basically wherever Henry's store is. But because of Kids Help Phone and Jack.org, it covers the entire country in general as well. So it's definitely a really good cause. Huge supporter of it for sure. And I really hope that maybe the donations go back up.
I know it's difficult.
I'm struggling in Woodbridge. It is hard to get that culture. I know it took a little while for Newmarket as well, and
both the curbside. The curbside people.
Curbside makes it difficult.
You're not building the relationships like when people come into the store. You're not having the conversations, and that's part of the mental health issue as well. I mean, it's very challenging working retail in this day and age. So. Mm-hmm. Tyler, I'm happy you're able to work with wood, because sometimes I'm dealing with people. It feels like it's just like wood.
I have to admit, after so many years of being in retail and dealing with people day in and day out, it's kind of nice just being in my own little wood shop for the entire day and just do my own thing.
No doubt. Mark, is there anything you wanted to mention about the Shoppers initiative?
Yeah, so I work for Shoppers here in Ontario, and nationally, from July 4th to 11th, we do the Run for Women, which is those local runs in, I believe it's 17 or 18 cities, and anybody can join. You can go to runforwomen.ca and you can sign up. By the time this airs, it's I think this episode's airing in June, so so we've still got some runway there, but it's all for really worthwhile causes. All of the money raised goes to local women's mental health charities within the cities that that the funds are raised in. So it's going to be great. My wife and I are going to be going out sometime during that week. It is a virtual run because of COVID. There isn't a big start and thousands of people walking and running together. It's everybody going out at some point in that week and walking or running either 5 or 10 kilometers. And my wife and I are going to take the dogs to one of the parks here in Thunder Bay. And I am told that if you park at the parking lot and walk all the way around the lake, you've done your 5 kilometers. So we're going to be doing that with our puppies, and
very nice.
Have a good time doing it, raising
nice.
dogs. So.
Well, we're all doing what we can, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we do the podcast. It's for our mental health. It's all to keep
There you
people
go.
positive and stay creating. So stay creating, everybody. And thank you so much for watching tonight's episode 11 of the Expressions Podcasts.
Podcasts.
We all had cats going, except for Aurora. Aurora, come on, get with the cat program.
We'll ship her one. We'll
I
ship her a cat.
really
I've got
want
enough.
one. It's not up to me.
Oh,
We have a landlord, and the landlord doesn't want a pet. We can ask the landlord, however, we haven't.
I have an idea. I'm going to get you a money cat, one of those cats with the arm that goes.
And
we can put it behind
one
you.
with me always. I've got one with
Oh, there
me
you go.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
We'll bring
Yeah.
Nitro down. He's more of a dog anyway.
Yeah.
He's your say he's your nephew from Thunder Bay, and he's staying with you for a while.
There you go. There you go. Visitors are welcome. Pet visitors are welcome.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.